Best of R / Tales from Tech Support episode 76. Subscribe for Reddit videos daily. This was more than 20 years ago, so I can't go into much detail, but I absolutely have to share this here. I used to work for Microsoft's Customer Central. At the time, Microsoft had a ton of products and no one support center could be expected to know them all. From software and operating systems, to an interactive Barney the dinosaur doll that interacted with his show, all calls came to me, and it was my responsibility to verify warranty and forward them onto the correct department. Under no circumstances were we supposed to give support ourselves, as it set false expectations. One day, this sweet older lady called in, having trouble with her word processor. She could save her documents, but couldn't open them. As part of my job, I needed her to open her word processor program and open a little window in the help menu to get a serial number so I could forward her onto the correct department. What happened next will stay with me for the rest of my life. The sweet older lady and I had what could only be termed a miscommunication. After more than 45 minutes on the phone with her, calls shouldn't ever take more than 3-5 minutes. I came to the dawning realization that every time I asked this woman to double click on a file, she'd double click on a folder, because that's what it's called, right? A file, you know, those icons that look like manila file folders used in filing cabinets. It took me 45 minutes of talking with this woman and troubleshooting her problems before I figured out the problem. And once I sorted out this miscommunication, and taught her the jargon of file and folder and what purpose they serve in a Windows OS, suddenly, she was able to open her files and her problem was solved. Thank you. Next. Longtime lurker. First time poster. I'm on mobile. $me should be obvious. $sit is student IT. Has held his position longer than $tit. $tit is teacher IT. Has held his position for 4 years. We're all in the same room. I am what's essentially an unpaid intern at my high school. At least, that's what I say for simplicity. What I do has mostly been replacing various parts on laptops used there. They are student versions, which is a fancy way of saying that you could drive over it with your car and only the LCD will be broken. True story. Simply put, they're sturdy. Sturdy, however, does not mean fun to work on. They are frustrating. In order to replace a keyboard, everything needs to be taken out. Fun? No. Basically, having to replace multiple things to fix one laptop is tedious and quickly frustrating. During the school year, a student's laptop stops charging. $sit takes it for repairs, and gives the student a loaner. The broken laptop is given to me to fix. A common replacement is the system board, which is basically a MOBO, a CPU, RAM, and an SSD stuck onto a single part. Convenient and cost efficient? Debatable. Back on topic, though, I proceed to do the deed, and replace the board. Still doesn't charge. Fun. The next logical step is to make sure the new system board doesn't have an issue out of the box. I unplug everything, then put the charger back into the system board. Okay, so it blinks. Plug in the battery, the light says happy computer. So the problem might be something else. I plug everything back in, after removing the power, and take one thing out at a time, then plug in the power again. I got lucky on test 2. Ended up being the mousepad, which is connected to the part with the keyboard. Like I said, not fun. I replaced the new broken thing, and it doesn't work. It charges, but it won't turn on. It won't bloody boot now. $me. It's cursed, I swear. $tit. What's wrong with it? $me. I've just replaced the uppercase, after the system board still didn't work, having checked all my connections and unplugging things until it charged, and now it won't even turn on. $tit comes over and presses the power button. Nada. $tit. Well, shit. $me. I know. $tit. Alright, maybe $sit will have some clue for you when you come back. Like a good boy, I scurry off to class. When I come back, I am told by $sit that a potential culprit might be the button board, but it usually causes charging issues, not boot. Armed with another part, I replace it. Anyone wanna guess what happened next? Yeah, still didn't boot. This time, it's the LCD at fault. Evidently, a bad LCD can cause boot issues. Alright, so replace that, Unplug these tiny little cables, that awkward ribbon, and I pulled too hard. Ended up breaking a cable. In my defense, it was very thin, and it separated from the connector. I tell $Tit the issue, as $Sit is out getting lunch, and a new part should be ordered soon. I come back, and $Tit says that $Sit said the cable was fine. I point again to the broken part of the cable. $Sit didn't look at the right part of a branching cable. Damn. The cursed one is put to the side, as normal laptops still need to be repaired. I had developed a theory that the user had the aura of a Luddite. I even brought up a relevant XKCD. I forget about the cursed one. It had been a while, but suddenly, a box appeared on my desk when I came in. A box I wasn't familiar with. A box with a foreign part number. Could it be? I look at the laptop in front of me. It is a replacement. Finally, I get it all hooked up and ready to go. It was like finally assembling an engine and putting in the car. First time I started it, it wouldn't turn over. It's a different bloody part. Again, I've replaced the system board, the seemingly faulty keyboard, the buttons board, the LCD, and the LCD cable, in that order. The battery was about to have a transplant from another broken laptop with the same original issue, not charging. Transplant says the cursed one is charging, but still not booting. I replaced the system board on the new one, and then I had an idea. I stated my opinion on it. It was stupid, and probably won't work. I replaced the system board again. I let it charge, press the power button, and it started up. It lived again. Through what felt like 2 months, and days of working on the same thing, it worked. It was finally fixed. My torment was over, and I learned something. The moral of this story is don't trust the manufacturer to send parts that aren't faulty, especially not ones that start with L. Bonus. During this time, an LCD from the same company was shipped to replace a broken part on a desktop. Not to be confused with a tower, it was an all-in-one deal. The ribbon cable going into the LCD wasn't plugged in properly. $Tit was not happy to take it apart just to correct the factory's mistake. Edit. Formatting. Thanks. Mobile. Thank you. Next. Obligatory long-time lurker. First-time poster. $Tech. Me. Receiving calls and emails from users reporting IT incidents. $user. User that called in and reported incident. This happened earlier today. Ring ring. $Tech. Welcome to service desk. You're speaking with $Tech. How may I assist you? User. Hello. Yes. Do you report broken headphones to this number? $Tech. Yes. We handle IT equipment, such as broken headphones. User. Great. I have an issue with a pair of broken headphones. I accidentally dropped them in the toilet. Tech. Okay, so the headphones are water damaged? User. Well, I could not pick them up as there were other stuff in the toilet. I thought that I might pick them up after I flushed the toilet. However, the headphones went down when I flushed. Tech. Okay, I see. We can create a ticket for replacement headphones. User. I also have pictures of the headphones that I lost, if you need them. Tech. It is not necessary. I have created a ticket so that we can replace your headphones. Edit. To clarify, we have strict laws in our country that allows workers to have regular bathroom breaks. I do not know why the user had the headphones with him to the toilet in the first place. Thank you. Next. I've posted a few stories from my work here before. I am currently a junior system administrator at a car dealership and have been in my position for a few years now. One constant in my time here has been interesting support calls. From oil change technicians leaving oil hoses dangling above their laptops with predictable results, to someone attempting to copy an optical disc using a flatbed scanner. Recently, I was offered my dream job as a real deal, big boy system administrator at a very nice company for more than double my current salary, so today I put in my 2 weeks notice. It was a bittersweet moment. I swear to you that I even began lamenting that I'd probably never get any tech support stories more ridiculous than any I had already experienced at that point. Someone in the accounting office must have sensed my sorrow and decided to give me one for the road. $OP is me. $EU is end user. I sit down at my desk with my morning coffee and prepare to take a sip. Immediately as the cup reaches my lips, my phone rings. $OP. Good morning, this is redacted in the IT department. How can I help? $EU. Hi, redacted. I brought in a wireless mouse and keyboard set that my husband got me today and it doesn't seem to be working. I plugged the little thingy into the slot and made sure everything had batteries and was turned on, but my CPU won't see it. $OP. Maybe the receiver, that little thingy you plugged in, didn't get seated into the USB port properly. Can you try removing it for me, plugging it back in, and telling me if any messages pop up on your screen? $EU. Sure. $EU sets the phone down at this point, and in the background I can hear sounds of physical struggle. I begin to get worried. $EU. How are you supposed to get it out once it's in? $OP. Well, you should just be able to grab it and pull it out. It shouldn't take a lot of force at all. $EU. There's not really anything for me to grab onto though. My spidey sense begins tingling at this point. An event has occurred. I should probably walk up to continue the service in person before any further events have a chance to manifest themselves. $OP. Huh, that's strange. Hang on one moment. I'm going to come up so I can see what's going on. I make the pilgrimage to accounting and arrive at the workstation. The user has inserted the USB receiver, but they then just kept going. The USB receiver is now flush with the front bezel on the computer's case. That is, the USB receiver has been forced into the USB port hard enough that it completely destroyed and displaced the USB port on the front of the case. Hence, there was nothing left for $EU to grab onto to pull the receiver out. I don't want to immediately break the bad news. I don't know how to. I need some time to think. I ask a question to buy time. $OP. Interesting. If you don't mind me asking, how did you go about inserting the receiver into the USB port? $EU. Oh, I just kind of put it in and tapped it a few times. It is worth noting at this point that $EU is a 55-plus-year-old accounting lady, and if I am to believe her, she has tapped it a few times with enough strength to completely destroy the USB port. I decide that I do not want to anger this user. $OP. I think that USB port must have been on its last legs for some reason. It looks like it failed somehow. Let me plug it into one of the ports on the back of your PC for you. Edit. Formatting. Thank you. Next. Hello all, long-time reader, first-time poster. Have I got a funny story for you? For backstory, I work in a library as a computer tech, and as you can imagine, we are on a public network. We have a system that locks our computers between user sessions, but really it's just a lock screen over Windows that you disable by logging in with your library card credentials, so it isn't individual sessions for each users. Each user is made aware of the through signs we have posted at each computer, reminding users to log out of their account and delete their files, and if they are ever unsure, they can come to grab us. Q crazy customer, CC. CC came into our library to use our computers and logged into one of them. Upon logging in, she was greeted with Google Chrome already being open, and it displayed another customer's Gmail account. She decided to come up and complain to me about it, and this is what transpired. CC, excuse me, but why am I able to see another person's Gmail? This can't be secure at all. Can other people see my Gmail if I log into this computer? Me, no miss. Unfortunately, this person didn't go through their due diligence of using our public computers, and did not log out of their account. If you take the steps we have outlined on the cards located at every computer, other users will not see your Gmail. CC, no, that won't do. Why should I have to take extra steps so others won't see my Gmail? What are you going to do about this? Me, miss, you are using a public computer. It is your duty to log out of your account and erase your files, and we have made that very clear both at the computer and in our library policies. CC, no, number. This makes no sense. What are you even doing to keep our information safe? I don't want others seeing my Gmail. Do you even have any clue what you're doing? Honestly, what kind of morons do they hire here? There's more that occurs between this but I'll spare you all the back and forth of me trying to explain using a public computer. My boss eventually becomes concerned about what is transpiring and how CC is treating me, and becomes involved. It escalates to the point where my boss kicks CC out of the building, and that ended that. TLDR, crazy customer comes in and doesn't understand basic security principles of using a shared public computer, gets annoyed, starts berating me, and is kicked out for the day. Edit. It seems a lot of people are suggesting the idea that we reset the computers between each and every session. Without going into too much detail, it is something that we had discussed and contemplated, but we are a part of a county library system and are at the mercy of what the higher-ups say. I'm just a low-level help desk person here. I have nothing to do with the actual security side. I'm sorry if you think it's an issue, but it really isn't inside my power to even do anything about it. Edit 2. Another one that seems to keep coming up in the comments, so I figured to cover it here. The user beforehand decided to up and walk away from the computer without closing their Chrome. The program we use as our lock screen isn't set up to close any open windows when it locks. Don't ask me why. I'm not the system admin. I'm really just help desk. So while it's great to say we should set Chrome to run in incognito and not store cookies/cache, it doesn't help if you don't even close the window itself. Thank you. Next. Years ago in the mid to late 1990s, as a teenager, I worked in a multitude of different retail jobs. For a couple of years I worked in a local computer shop that did both PC sales and repairs. I worked in sales, but, as we were a small company, I often ended up either building PCs or helping to fix them. One day a chap, let's call him Mr. W, came in with a PC we built for him a few months ago with a complaint that it wouldn't turn on. I popped the case open, in front of him, and immediately saw the problem. The cable powering the motherboard was loose. I gave it a firm push back in, hooked it up to one of our monitors and keyboards to test it, and all was fine. All this done in front of the customer, where I showed him what I was doing and generally chatting with him. Turned out that he'd moved the computer that morning and that was when it stopped working. I popped into the back to ask my manager how much to charge. How much do you think, OP? Nothing. I fixed it in 5 minutes. It's under warranty, probably caused by how it was put together, and we want to keep him as a customer. Good lad. Chuckle him a mousemat to keep him sweet. So I gave Mr. W a mousemat, asked him to sign a form to say that a warranty repair had been made and sent him on his way. Fast forward 3 months. One of my colleagues, Dave, not real name, got a phone call. Hello XXX. Computers, how can I help you? Said in the politest English telephone voice. You've put a chicken in my computer. Screamed the extremely angry and hostile Mr. W. I'm sorry, what? There's a chicken clucking in the computer and your idiot work experience boy put IT there. I wasn't work experience, but still quite young. I'm fairly sure that OP didn't do that. What exactly is happening? There's a bloody chicken in my fucking computer. IT keeps clucking. Fix IT now. I'll see what I can do. Dave, with the patience of a son, got the customer's details, checked the notes, including my note about fixing the cable, in front of the customer, and tracks me down. Mr. W says you put a chicken in his computer. Know anything about that? No. What on earth? Well, he is pissed off. I'm going over to his house to have a look. So Dave goes over to Mr. W's house. About 3 hours later, he comes into the shop, tears of laughter streaming down his face. Turns out that Mr. W is a bit of a hoarder and that the PC tower was under a huge pile of unopened mail. While excavating it to have a look, with Mr. W looming over him, he heard a forlorn beep coming from the pile. Did you hear that? That's the chicken. I told you there was a chicken. You mean that beep? IT was a cluck and you know IT. Dave carried on his excavation when he hears the beep again, only, this time, it was from the pile of posts that had been moved. Mr. W screamed, how did you move IT? So Dave starts scrabbling around the post until he finds the chicken, in a padded envelope that had been opened then sealed again with tape. Can I open this? No, that's my POST, you have no right to. Mr. W was cut off by another forlorn beep, this time from the envelope. He snatches it from Dave and rips it open. A smoke alarm falls out. Turns out that Mr. W had received a smoke alarm from the local fire brigade in the post around 2 years before. He'd taken it out of the parcel, put a battery in, then put it back in the envelope with the intention of asking his son to fit it for him later. He forgot about it and it was soon absorbed by the clutter. The beeping was the replace battery alarm. Dave, the ever helpful, after he finished laughing, popped out to get Mr. W a fresh battery, then installed the smoke alarm for him. Nice guy, that Dave. Edit. So if you are asking about what Mr. W was charged, Dave made the decision not to charge him anything as it was clear that Mr. W needed help, and not just with the computer. I didn't mention that Mr. W was easily in his 80s. If I remember correctly, Dave dropped in on him during his time off to check that the computer was working okay, but actually just spent time chatting with Mr. W and making sure that he had someone regularly checking up on him. Fortunately, he did. He spent time showing him a few tricks on the PC and just listening to his war stories. As I said, nice guy, that Dave. Thank you. Next. Back in the last 90s/early 2000s, I was chained to my desk by a short phone cord several hours a day for about 4 years doing tech support for a now mostly forgotten Midwest-based computer company, so I have lots of interesting stories. This call is one of the ones that sticks out. A nice lady calls up complaining that every once in a while her computer would beep even when it was turned off. Okay, weird but whatever, let's see what we can figure out. I gathered her info and set about finding the problem. I made sure she was in fact turning off the computer and not just the monitor. Still beeping. Next, check speakers and other peripherals. Beep. Hum. We continue to troubleshoot. Eventually we had everything unplugged and disconnected, so there was no way that there was going to be anything powered up enough to beep. A little bit of time passes. Beep. I think for a bit, then ask her, is there a smoke detector in that room? Pause. Oh my god. Yes there is. You don't think that's what it is, do you? I say, well, let's find out. Pop the battery out and let's wait a bit. After a few minutes of silence, I am satisfied that it wasn't her computer and suggested she go buy a new 9V for her smoke detector. She apologized for wasting my time, which wasn't really necessary but refreshing given the usual nature of people calling tech support, and I left her to reassemble her computer and move on to other calls. TL. Doctor, I spent half an hour trying to fix a bleeping computer only to discover it was a low battery in a smoke detector.